we have X, the the platform we love to hate. So this time they have decided that they are going to remove the likes tab or the likes option on X. The difference here now is you will be able to see your own likes if you post content and people view and like it. You'll be able to see your own likes, but you can't see the likes of other people's content. And
Previously, we have been having tools that will allow you to test the thumbnails. Like we have a thumbnail test tool that are already existing, and they were paid versions. Like you had to pay for you to be able to access those tools. But now, right now, YouTube has decided, oh, I can give this free tool to all the content creators in YouTube.
hello everyone, welcome to the Marketing Matters podcast. Here we talk about marketing strategy, digital trends, ad tech, and everything in between. I'm your host, Steven Atema.
I'm Atema Victoria.
Thank you for tuning in. So today we have a lot of also updates on the digital marketing end. But first, let's hear your reactions to several news that have happened over the last week. Now, on the digital space, we have had an announcement about YouTube trying to deploy or change a technology in how they upload the videos to block the ad blocker to ensure that the ad blocker platforms are not able to block ads for users, and especially for the biggest culprits are usually the guys who are accessing it via the mobile phones. What are your thoughts on that, or what insights can you share from that news?
I think for the ad blockers, they will always try to outwit YouTube. So it's just a matter of time. They always think of better ways because it's not a new thing. They have always been prevented before, and then they find a solution, and they still are able to do that. However, I think YouTube is trying to that's one of the features that is on YouTube Premium. So if they do not, if they have the ad blockers, then they are not able to get people to enjoy the premium version. So for you to be able to get the premium version, you do not have to watch all the YouTube ads. So that is beneficial for the YouTube users who are on the premium version. So for the ad blockers, when they do that, it's like they're limiting people from getting the YouTube Premium because now they have the option to get the free tool as opposed to getting the paid version.
Yeah, I think because the way I understand it is they're changing the way they render ads on the platform, in the sense that usually when you upload a video and then YouTube adds an ad on top of that. So the ad blocker platforms or technologies are able to see that there is something embedded on top of this, and then they block that. In the website space, there have been a bit more, at least different platforms or different websites have been able to arrest that problem, because most of the times it is a bit easier for the site to know that there is an ad blocker here that is affecting the usage. So what they do is they either tell you, either you remove the ad blocker, or you can't access their content, or you are told to continue using this site, you have to remove the ad blocker. So in the website space, I think it's okay, but on the YouTube end, the difference is that it is hard for YouTube to block you watching content by forcing you to not have the ad blocker. And in
Yeah.
my view, even as they say that they are going to, they believe that this technology that they're deploying, in the sense that the ad blocker will not be able to differentiate between an ad and a video, because they will embed the ad into the video. I think it's something that might have a bigger impact than we might assume. But also, most importantly, I am one of the proponents of, as one of the guys who YouTubers, Richie says, you have to give value for value. Surely, people are online giving you content. They have spent hours. If you knew the number of times we do iterations on this podcast before it goes live, and even when it goes live, it's still not perfect. All that work for people to just entertain you, and then you don't want to pay for this premium service. You also don't want to pay for that. You also don't want to watch the ads. Surely, I think people are just very interesting. But I'm talking about this not just as a market, but just a general personality. But what I've learned is there's really you can't argue on morality on most of these things. So in my view, as a marketer, this is a very good thing, because if I am distributing my content on different users, I would have been able to reach Vicky, but Vicky has decided that she has assumed that whatever I'm trying to sell her is not relevant. So for my space on the business side, I think I'm happy generally, because now I can actually reach the audiences that I wanted to reach, because alternatively YouTube will just invite to anybody available, because my target audience is not there. And also for YouTube, they are now able to push guys aggressively to use the premium version, because again, these platforms are supported by some form of revenue. But yeah, I really hope that this actually works, because both on the marketing end, but also just on the issue of you, there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of content online, and they generally rely on the ad revenue for ads rendered on their platform to earn money. So if you are getting entertainment for free, the least you could do is just not skip an ad, or skip the ad when it's there, but not try to find other ways. In fact, technically, even in the terms and conditions of Google, ad blockers are not allowed. So it's actually just it's a very interesting space that they find themselves in. But I'm sure that in good time they'll be able to arrest this problem. Though again, people are very also creative, like you said. They can come up with also other ways of still seeing. Maybe they say the first 5 seconds, or when they see that
Yeah.
there's and there are smart people out there. But yeah, I really think, at least for the first period that it will be rolled out, it will have a very huge impact in pushing people to the premium, but also helping the people who are content creators also earn some money about that. Yeah, still on that, on the matter of YouTube, they also announced last week that they are about to, that not they have rolled out what they call YouTube test and compare feature. If you're in the marketing field, you usually call it A/B testing. And again, this is what we were talking about last week, where different different people in different industries complicate a lot of things. So YouTube knows this feature is A/B testing, but they understand that not all creators are marketers. So they just want to know, what does this function do? And they simplify it and say, we are giving you a test and compare feature. So the test and compare feature should be live. And here is what YouTube had to say about it. They said that in terms of what their content, the whole way it's going to work, it is in the sense that if you're already a YouTube account or a YouTube user, you should be able to access this feature as an advanced feature. And there are two ways that you can go about it. So I'm trying to see where that content could have been. YouTube test and compare. So that's how they're saying who will access, the people will have to, who will be able to access, anybody who has a YouTube page. And then you'll have to go to the advanced features to upload the two thumbnails. Then after you upload the two thumbnails, it'll do some rendering, and then after a while, maybe it can be a week, it can be a month, and after that period is done, then they'll tell you this is the clear winner, or this is what you need to do, maybe to improve or to make it better. So it's something very interesting, especially if you are in the creative space. And two of the main things that make you increase your click-through rate on YouTube is, first of all, how relevant is your topic, or how well optimized is your topic. And the second thing is how good or how appealing is your thumbnail. So if you are able to actually look at do different tests and see, this is the thumbnail that works, it saves you a lot of creative time trying to work on different iterations to see actually what thumbnail led people to click my ad. And I think it's something very good. What are your thoughts, Vicky?
I think this thumbnail feature, the free testing thumbnail feature, for businesses is a good thing. It
Mm,
just reminds me of supermarkets. Like when you had supermarkets that will only sell products, you just go and buy if it's soap, it is ingredients to cook. Then later on,
mm,
they decided, okay, now you can bake in the supermarket. You can buy already bread that is already baked. Then they reached a point, now it's
mm,
a restaurant. You have a mini restaurant in the supermarket. That's what YouTube is doing, because previously we have been having tools that will allow you to
mm.
test the thumbnails. Like we have a thumbnail
Yeah,
test tool that are
yeah.
already existing, and they were paid versions, like you had to pay for you to be able to access those tools. But now, right now, YouTube has decided, oh, I can give this free tool to all the content creators in YouTube. So making that other uh, company or
Business
business
irrelevant.
irrelevant, So they decide, okay, we can take the bigger share and still be able to get all our content
Yeah.
creators enjoy that benefit. So it's good for businesses and even content creators, because now you are able to have this feature within the YouTube, and it's the YouTube that will be doing the testing. So it has its
Mm.
own data, all analytics, and it takes like 14 days for you to test the different 2 to 3 thumbnails, and then after that you're able to get the results, and it automatically picks the thumbnail that will work, that has worked, or it has gained the pass the test. It will automatically pick the right thumbnail, and then now that thumbnail is the one that will be in existence for that particular topic. Now for them, they're saying they will be testing, um, we would assume that it will test the click-through rate, like anytime someone clicks, because most of the time we do clickbaits, but now for them, they were saying they are considering the watch time, that it's not only for you to click, but how long does the person stay in the video? Does the person watch? How long does he watch the video for that to be considered as a thumbnail that works? And
Okay.
we'll say that that is an argument, but at the same time, it's still an advantage because I have to click for me to watch. So
Yeah.
the point still applies, because the more the click through rate, the more I'll have more people who watch the video. So it's still
Yes.
a tool that is beneficial to both. So that is a good thing for content creators, and I applaud them for the
Yeah.
good job.
Anybody on YouTube who is doing content and wants to improve their click through, that's one of the, because sometimes people ignore content or ignore uploads or different videos just by looking at how the the thumbnail was made. Some of them it could help a lot of creators or a lot of content creators on YouTube to increase their audience, but also increase their ability to generate revenue from this platform. So we shall also be sharing the links and even the tutorial that YouTube shared about how you can start setting up that account. It's a pretty nice and pretty easy thing to set up, and it will have a very huge impact for you as a business person or as a creator trying to see how relevant or how to create your ads to not add your thumbnail to increase the number of people viewing it. Now, moving on swiftly again, we have X, the the platform we love to hate. So this time they have decided that they are going to remove the likes tab or the likes option on X. So you'll be able to, you'll be sharing your content, but you will not be able to see the number of of the likes in any post that is not your own. If I post something on X right now, previously I could be able to see how many people have liked my content, how many likes I have on other content. The difference here now is you will be able to see your own likes. If you post content and people view and like it, you'll be able to see your own likes, but you can't see the likes of other people's content. And the argument has been that because, like we talked about last week about YouTube being X being trying to be one of the most actively engaged platform, but also a platform that gives everybody a voice without trying to shadow ban people. So the argument was that, or their belief is that because people generally are afraid of what other people's perception are, especially if their perception of their view is, especially if they find them to be controversial. So it affects the actual engagement on the platform, such that you see something that you maybe agree with or that you're interested in, but if you like, somebody can start saying, Steve likes this type of content, and then it becomes a whole big mess. And like I told you how corporates work on the online platform, especially if you're people who are employed, you usually you have your opinions because you're human, but most of the
Yeah.
time you have to you have to pretend that you have not seen anything that is relevant to you in terms of your personal life, because of the implications of it being perceived as if it's the point of view of the organization. So generally speaking, in my view, I think it's something good, but I just don't know how they're working on the background so that the most liked and relevant content also continue to be shown on our end, because sometimes even the likes can influence how you interact with the post. sometimes you think a most liked content also adds to the credibility of that post, so it's something that I personally feel like it might be okay. I just don't know how it will affect the different content creators on that platform, and even businesses.
Okay, for me, I would ask myself, okay, it's a good thing to have, but is it really when you, as in when Elon Musk sat down and he looked at all the priority things on his priority list, was it
Mm,
was this a priority, like, really, for the growth of the business and for its content creator? I don't know. Me, it's a good. It's like when Paul in the scripture says, "Is it everything is permissible, but is it beneficial? Was it really beneficial to remove the likes?" I don't know. But I was just thinking maybe the politicians or the influencers who sometimes you would like a post that is maybe you
controversial.
are supporting a different, yeah, a different party, and then later on now you are changing, so maybe to
Mm,
make people keep truth to themselves. So that
yeah.
that was something that people mostly use to build an argument. So maybe that
Mm.
would work, but was it really beneficial for X to grow or for
I think
businesses?
at this point, anything that X does has to be beneficial to them, because there's very little that they are able to do in terms of making X a more relevant business platform for advertisers. So that
Yeah.
whatever they try to do right now is just
For
relevant
personal
to them.
use.
Yeah, keeps the conversation going about what the platform is about. And also, like I said, I hope that ultimately, even on the back end, while they will be blocking, they will be removing that likes view, still it will not affect how they render the different content, because some of the way that even the algorithm knows that you are interested in this type of content is because of how you like. So if you like, I hope that even as it's shadowed, it does not affect how the algorithm renders different content for you, so that if I still like something, it is what is also going to be shown to me, and not that it does not even lose that feature of now being shown, so that I start also seeing so many random posts, so that I
Yeah,
can, it's like it's
yeah,
to learn what I like, because usually the like is also communicating to the platform that this is something relevant to me. So we are hoping that also on the back end, that feature is not disabled, so that then it totally obliterates the objective of ensuring I am rendered content that I seem to be resonating with. Same thing with how it works on YouTube or Meta. When I like content, then I'll be rendered more similar content. So I hope that
yeah,
that is actually something that is not affected. But with how these platforms are going, it's very hard to know to know where
yeah,
exactly that will reach. So yeah, that's on X. Something else also happening on the let's say the digital media trend space is that there was a Spotify. Anybody who knows Spotify, it's a music streaming platform that is also now going into audiobooks. Spotify is has decided to create its own in-house ad agency. What an ad agency is, for those people who are not familiar with the term, it's basically an agency, a marketing department that does everything for them. They want to create content, they want to publish the content on their platform, they want to do different types of marketing, content writing, and whatnot. So what Spotify is doing is that people, you can advertise on Spotify if you engage them directly as a publisher, but also they also have been able to do advertisements for different brands. So what I believe that from what the statement was saying, they understand, their view is that they know the customer better. They understand Vicky likes gospel, Steve likes reggae. So they are saying that because they have this data, which they are not going to share with you as a third party, they are saying, you tell us you want an ad that resonates with gospel people. So we shall render with you an ad. We shall develop an ad that when Vicky is listening to whatever content she is listening to in her gospel beat, when she sees the ad, it is not offensive, because Vicky might, when you start rendering maybe an ad on reggae to Vicky, then that affects the experience for Vicky. So they are saying they can even customize the ad if it's something that is universal. They can customize the ad, but make it better so that different audiences that interact with their platform also enjoy it. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think it's something that is a growing trend. Starbucks also did the same. Every brand that is having a big audience or a customer base is trying to leverage on the existing data they have for their customers to maximize the value that they can get for themselves as well as for anybody who is advertising on the platform. Mm.
Oh, okay. Maybe I need clarification or I didn't understand it well, but is okay. I understand the concept they're using because that's what TV and generally the traditional media has been using. Because when you go
Mm.
to TV stations and you tell them you want to advertise, they'll advise you according to how they feel your advert will reach their audience. But now, when I look at the online space, if they are to do the creative lab, I was reading like the creative lab is more physical. They have
Mm.
the physical locations where you can go visit and then you
Tell them
agree
your
or
problem.
discuss. Yes, but
Mm.
um, is it going to be biased? Like if I don't use them, then I will not benefit. If I'm just
Ah,
a different company that doesn't need
mm.
their service, but I want to
You are a
advertise on
competing
Spotify.
advertiser.
Yeah, because now with them they have the data. Would it
Mm.
be biased? Because now me, I
No,
don't have that kind of data. I don't know.
no, I think what the argument is, and it will be very tough for you to make to find fault in the argument. What they are saying is, if you go to an ad agency or you do your own creative in house, you're doing it for your specific audience, right? So you're saying, I'm creating an ad for people who like to buy cars. But when you but you're so you are creating an ad for general people who like to buy cars. But then they are saying when you render it on their platform, you might have a better impact if they rendered it to people who listen to content that is relevant to podcasts that are relevant to cars. But what they are saying is even in that audience, there are people based on the data they have, people who like classic cars, people who like SUVs, people who like different audiences based on their music personality. So they're saying you will come with one ad that you will want to fit all their personalities. Now they are saying when you come to our creative agency or to our ad agency, what we'll do is we'll listen to your problem and then render different creatives for different music personas. And this is Aka is just a simple example. It can be you're trying to sell an audiobook. Or so if you're selling an audiobook, you might render an ad that is maybe just talking about people who want personal growth or personal improvement podcast. But then they are saying based on the personality of Steve, he listens to a lot of music that is self-improvement. So they'll try to render that based on his tone and even the way they do the copy, because also copy is very important it's not just about seeing an image of somebody who wants to improve their life. The copy also is very relevant. And because they understand different people based on their personalities, they can render the copy that will have a higher click-through rate. That is not something you can easily achieve with an external party. So I think they still have, but they let you see that based on the way it's done, you likely also have a bias towards going for them. But in the end, some companies will still engage their ad agency and be like, you know what, you render that, we'll decide for ourselves if it works. Mm.
Oh, yeah, they also mentioned the use of AI. The way we just spoke about last week, that every platform is integrating
Everyone
AI
is
on their.
saying AI.
Yeah, so they were mentioning AI as you can use voice over AIs and scripts
Yes,
to
yes.
ensure
They have quite a lot, and the voiceover can also again be rendered on there based on the people they know you like listening. So if you like listening
yeah,
to maybe Sauti Sol, so they can render that content based on something that mimics how Sauti Sol would
yeah.
do an ad. So it's quite powerful, but also let's be honest, it's still in the early stages. And if you are a competent ad agency, you'll still be able to do it. You'll just have a harder time trying to replicate what a platform that is doing. And this is the same thing that has given Google an advantage over the years, in the sense that you can come to Google and give them the ads. The difference is that Google is able to tell you, Vicky likes this type of content, surrender this. And the way you do those testings, the A/B testing and the whatnot, you get some data to see that okay, if I render an image that is bigger than the content, maybe it works better, like different iterations. But now Spotify is trying to tell you that we can do all of that. We don't want you to do it. YouTube, Google and other platforms have been usually taking a back seat, saying you just bring your ad, we'll render it to anybody who you think is relevant for this ad. But these guys are saying, no, we want to help you see this ad that you're bringing, who else can it serve that you think that maybe you had missed. And I think that can also set something major to go even in these bigger advertising platforms. Amazon is doing it, Google is doing it, Microsoft on their different platforms are doing it. So it is something like a learning experience for all these big platforms. And maybe we might see a bigger shift into this big, anybody who has big data trying to also build its own in-house creative or an ad agency. But yeah,
Mm.
that's about it. An interesting thing in the as we come to a close on the marketing news and information, there was a study done the other day about how different platforms, how different audiences would react to advertising, and that study found that it is, as an advertiser, you are more likely to get people who are in the podcast space like ours to actually listen to your advertising. And it had some very major insights that I'd like us to just discuss one or two of them, so that we can see what these guys are trying to talk about. And remember, again, like we said, you shall share links to these reports so that you can have a better interaction. And so, like in this page, they were asking different podcasts. They sampled around 1,000 people who listen to podcasts. This is podcasts either on YouTube, but also even on Spotify. And they were asking, when was the last time you had a podcast that had an advertisement? Almost all podcasts these days, the major ones have an advertising element. But there are several things that came out that were very interesting to me. And one of the questions that was asked was, when listening to a podcast, how do you feel about the ads? And if you look at the distribution by gender, it seems that a lot of ladies do not do not like ads. So there is 43% of the ladies or the female people who are sampled say that they actually mind. Uh, uh, Several, sorry, not 43% say they don't mind. 53% of gents say they don't mind. So it's also speaking to the different personalities on how they interact with ads on the platform. But generally speaking, both men and female, 48% of them don't mind ads, which is a very huge number compared to the studies you would find on the normal advertising. Because you would find almost around 60% of normal users completely, not even just don't mind, totally hate hate ads on the platform. So that's why we even find different ways to try to go around it. So this is a very interesting insight that that 48% of people don't mind listening to the others. Another question that was interesting was also about how they feel about ads. And again, quite a huge number of the audience, in total 48%, is like half the audiences don't even actually mind an ad. And then the people who have a big propensity or a big affinity towards advertising seem to be the guys who are middle aged. They generally enjoy listening to ads, I guess, maybe because they have been accustomed to. Because if you look at how podcasts are rendered these days, it's like a radio show. So maybe the guys who are in their middle age have been so used or have been so accustomed to listening to ads when they are listening to something on the radio that it does not really mind. So another question that was asked is whether people have discovered a product or service through the ad, and almost 60% said yes. As a user or as a person who was speaking for myself, if I have listened to several ads, some of them are relevant, but my purchasing decision is rarely based on what I see or I hear on the ad. Usually, there is always something that I'll do for further research before I go. Now, this is what they are saying, that most people will listen to ads. 39% of of people say that they would skip if it was possible. That's a very small number, by the way, compared to how people render. Others, a healthy percentage, 30 of them would actually continue listening, even if they had the option, because there's this perception or this feeling that when you are listening to these ads, you are supporting the content creator, because
The
there's always
content creator.
a podcast is yeah, it's different from a normal YouTube episode, because you somehow get to, like, the way our audiences will be listening to us. With time, they start building a relationship with us even without actually meeting us. So they start feeling like they are part of the growth of this platform. So when they see that an ad has been rendered, they're like, okay, maybe Steve and Vicky are earning something from this, and if this is what it takes for me to continue listening to this podcast, let me listen. Then there's a thing about the last episode. Think about the last podcast episode that you did, and how did you react to them? So again, 68%, 68%, that's 70% listened to the ad. You know, this is quite an interesting number. They listen to the ad and listen to some of them, but all at the end of it all, most of them listen to a bit of the ad, and it's something that is very relevant, because look at even how kids interact with podcasts, with YouTube these days. What happens is uh, kids have been used to, they don't even see advertising, and I think YouTube will struggle with this in future, in the sense that when your child is watching something, or even us, you wait for that thing to say skip ad to skip. So people are so used to skipping ads that it's affecting even the quality of the out, so that YouTube will charge me that, okay, this ad was rendered at this period, but most of the time the people who are reviewing these ads have been so used to clicking the skip button that sometimes they don't even bother about what the ad is about. And when you have an audience that can actually listen to it and decide for themselves whether they skip, it's a very different dynamic. And that is, as podcasts continue to grow, it will be something that is something to watch for the advertisers. The last thing that I'll talk about is how often do you skip ads on your favorite podcast. So 46% of people skip ads, and I found this very interesting, because initially you would have assumed that people who listen to a podcast regularly will be like, okay, let me listen to this till the end. But it from the study, or from this survey, it shows that whether I like your podcast or not, if when it comes to ads, chances are that if I find that the ad is not relevant, I'll skip it regardless of whether I like your podcast. So me watching your podcast or listening to your podcast does not affect how I interact with your podcast. And again, by gender, you will see a lot of ladies will skip 50% of ladies will skip the ads on, even on their favorite podcast. So it's a very interesting dynamic. But this thing, again, we shall share it with you, we shall share with you the insights, but it is something that you need to be interested in, especially if you're in the marketing space, but also if you're also trying to create content and trying to see how do you appeal to different audiences. And if you're in the podcast space, how do you render your adverts? The study is quite lengthy. It even talks about how many number of adverts people expect, how many times that they expect to be rendered, based on different times. Like the biggest, people expect maximum of 3 ads on a podcast. So if you're doing 4 or 5 ads, just know that you are affecting your user experience. But again, share this link. 58% of people are more likely to skip ads, even on their favorite podcast, compared to the ones they just started listening to. So again, this is just showing that whether you like your podcast or not, people will still hate or will still skip it when it's time for them to, when they see an advert. And yeah, it was something quite interesting in the reporting space. So yeah, Vicky, we are done with the news.
I
Um,
don't, I think, let me just say something. For the podcasts, as much as we have that research, I'm just thinking if I'm to listen to a podcast, sometimes you're not even on your screen. Like if in
yes,
case you saw an advert, maybe you had
you
an
will not skip.
advert, you'll not even skip it, because even
Yeah.
where the phone is and where, or the
Yes,
laptop
yes,
or the
that's
TV.
true.
So
That's true.
sometimes you might just decide to assume you waited to go through, and then now you continue listening to your
Mm,
podcast. That is one. Then also I've realized for podcasts, since the time post podcast was introduced, the best kind of adverts were adverts that were done as part of the content creators
mm,
content. Like you'll get a
content.
content creator doing an advert for a specific company, or that company blends the content with, like, it's not that you're paying Spotify, for
It's like
example.
native advertising.
Yes, it's like native advertising. So that would make me as a user want to support the content creator in a way, because it's like I'm seeing him talking about the product, so I want to listen to that kind of advertisement. So I think that is also one of the reasons that could cause people to want or don't mind watching the advert till the end.
Yeah, makes sense. I guess it is true that indeed most of the time people who listen to podcasts are either in working out, doing chores, even just doing work that might not necessarily involve a lot of mental uh, your mental application. But yeah, it's true that chances are that even as we read this data, it could also be, we take it with a pinch of salt, knowing that the way people interact with pods is not the podcast is not the same way they interact with other type of content. And especially even on YouTube, people will listen to podcasts without even this, either the screen on if you're using premium. But if it's the screen is on because it's YouTube, the YouTube is free, you are more or less likely to be engaged in another activity to
Yeah.
before you can so that you really don't mind even the ads and what, it's like it's part of the conversation. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's a nice review. So like you've said, Vicky, about the podcast, we always have to look at it with and the appreciation that there are different types of audiences for different types of content. But yeah, that's it for us today, folks. We shall jump into maybe another session next time where we shall be talking about how to build a career in the marketing space. So tune in and like, subscribe, and share this pod. Bye.
Bye.